Well, it's official. 2023 is now over. And when it comes to the Marvel and DC movies we got this year, well, I mean, it's been kind of a mix. But hey everyone, welcome back to another video, and today we are finally ranking all of the 2023 Marvel and DC movies. So I actually did this last year. Well, yeah, last year? Well, yeah, so I ranked all the 2022 movies, and then I also did, and then right afterwards I did a 2023 movies by anticipation. So I'm very curious to see how my anticipation list matches up with this list that we're about to do, as well as finally doing a second ranking. And oh man, this year was actually really hard to do some of these rankings, because the top two, despite the fact that I knew what was going to be in the top two, and to be completely honest, you probably already know what's going to be in the top two, I had a problem deciding which one was one and which one was two. And then when it comes to 3 and lower, I actually had a really hard time deciding what should go where, because I feel like 3 and lower are kind of very close to the same tier when it comes to how good they are, and then 1 and 2 are also on the same tier on how good they are. So that's where I had a big issue ranking this one. But I finally came to a ranking that I kind of like, even though it could change by tomorrow. Yeah, so let's just get started. So in last place, at number 8, I have Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. This is one that this movie came out, feels like a while ago now, but it came out in February of 2023. Obviously, this is 2023 list, but I decided to end up going with this one last, just because I feel like it was probably the most disappointing out of the ones on this list, mostly because of the fact that it should have been Ant-Man 3, the conclusion to Ant-Man, to Scott Lang's story, having a big part of the story should be have to do with Scott Lang, Hope, and Cassie, Hank, and Janet. But instead, they decided, nah, we're not gonna make Ant-Man 3. We're gonna use Ant-Man 3 to be a kicking off point of Phase 5 to introduce the big bad, the next Thanos of the MCU. And they did that, which I'm not gonna lie, the way some of the they did a great job of marketing. I personally feel like, because they got me pretty hyped to the point where when I looked back on my list, they made me the marketing made me last minute change which one I was more excited for between Quantumania and Shazam 2. But they didn't do the best job at giving us that either. The dawn of a new dynasty. So, I don't know, to me it was kind of disappointing. I don't hate it. There's a lot of people I know that are like, this movie's trash, it sucks. I don't think it's that bad. I had fun with it. It was a fun time watching Ant-Man in the theaters. It was a fun time being introduced to Kang the Conqueror, even though he was defeated by ants, which, I mean, I find hilarious. Not a very good way to take down your next Thanos, but it doesn't take away the fact that it was hilarious, at least to me. Oh yeah, that's why I have it at the bottom, just because even though I don't not like it, I just think it was probably the most disappointing when it comes to the movies on this list. Alright, next up, at number 7, I decided to go with The Marvels. So this is a movie too that a lot of people don't like. A lot of people think the movie's bad and dumb. I don't think the movie's bad. The thing with The Marvels is it's not as good as it could be. The story has so much potential in it, and they don't fulfill it. They focus way more on just having some dumb fun. That way we can get to the setup for spoiler alert for if you haven't seen The Marvels. I'm going to dive to some minor spoilers, well, actually major spoilers. So spoiler alert for The Marvels if you haven't seen it yet, but I'm going to talk about it. They just have some dumb fun to get, that way they can get to the end credit scene, teasing and setting up the X-Men, as well as having an ending to set up the Young Avengers. And I love the X-Men. I love the Young Avengers. I cannot wait to see the X-Men back on the big screen. I cannot wait to see the Young Avengers finally be adapted. But when are we going to actually get this? Because it feels like we're not going to get any of these until at least 2048. because of how long it feels like everything is taking to actually happen. So that's kind of what it feels like. What could have been a great Captain Marvel sequel. Because like I feel like the villain I think had potential to be something really cool. With her hating Captain Marvel, because Captain Marvel, without knowing what she was doing, took away all the resources that helped keep her planet alive. That could have been a pretty good Captain Marvel story. Granted, now the actual story of Captain Marvel defeating the Supreme Intelligence and doing this, which without her knowing ends up dooming the Kree, could have also been a movie. So really, if you think about it, that should have been Captain Marvel 2, and the movie that we saw could have been Captain Marvel 3. But yeah, not to mention, you do have to do a lot of homework for this movie, which kind of sucks. Mostly Miss Marvel, I feel like they do a pretty good job at pretty much telling you what went on with Monica and WandaVision, so you don't necessarily have to watch WandaVision. And it kind of feels like the movie just completely ignores Secret Invasion. So you don't have to watch that show like I thought you would have to. But yeah, so the movie, it was okay. I had a lot of fun with it. That's why I put it over Ant-Man and Quantumania. I think I had more fun with this movie. But I think part of the reason for that is also because the audience I watched it with seemed to have more fun with this movie than Quantumania. Quantumania, it was not very full, and they didn't really have that big of a reaction to it. This movie, it was a bigger audience, and the audience was laughing a lot throughout the movie. So that, I think, helped make me like the movie a bit more and have a bit more fun with it. So yeah, I don't think it's bad. I don't hate it. I just don't think it's as good as it could have been. Alright, number 5, we're going to a DC movie. Even though I'm playing a Lego Marvel game, so I can't change to the character. I mean, I might be able to change to a character similar. So, at number 5, kicking off the top 5, I decided to go with Aquaman in the Lost Kingdom. I'm also just not realizing, I don't know if Namor is in this game. I don't think he is, but I'll be this guy. Okay. So at number 5, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. This is a movie that I was extremely excited for in 2018. And then the hype kind of died. Yeah, so I love the first Aquaman movie. I think it is great. It's one of my favorite DCEU movies. I had such a fun experience watching it. Watching it back when they actually had late showings at movie theaters, and by the time the movie was over and we were leaving the theater, it was actually Christmas. So I loved Aquaman. I think it was such a good movie, so that obviously made me excited for the sequel, especially because Black Manta is such a cool villain. And then we just kept having issues with it being delayed, and then hearing stuff that didn't really make me too excited about it, and then a bunch of other drama with Amber Heard, a bunch of other stuff. Not to the point that it is the final DCE movie, despite the fact that it's not supposed to be the final DCEU movie. So over the years, my hype has died for the movie, and the movie that we got was okay. I thought it was fun. Black Manta is a great villain, even if they do take away some of his personality due to the possession. I think Jason Momoa's Aquaman is a whole lot of fun. I loved Orm's character arc as well as his relationship with Aquaman. I thought the story they were telling, while being good, I feel like the problem is they kind of had like two different stories that they were trying to tell. They had the story of Black Manta, and they had the story of the Lost Kingdom. And I talked about this a little bit at the end of my review for the movie, how even I mostly talk about the third act because I could really feel it in the third act. But even with the rest of the movie, when I'm thinking about it, yeah, it kind of could be just two movies. We should have had Aquaman 2, which could be like Aquaman 2, Black Manta's Revenge, and then we could get Aquaman 3, The Lost Kingdom. But they didn't do that, and I mean, because how things turned out, that can't happen no matter what. So yeah, I think that's one of the biggest problems with it. The humor was kind of hit or miss for a lot of people, and to me it was kind of the same way. A lot of jokes landed, a lot of jokes did not. So yeah, a movie, once again, I had fun with the movie, but it was just, it was alright. It was a fun time, but not too much more. And this is also the only movie, I think, on this list that I wasn't able to see opening night. Mostly because it came out weekend of Christmas, I was very busy. So it's the only film on this list I didn't see opening night, but that's okay. So next up, I'm going with obviously another DC movie, that being Blue Beetle. Now, I actually had a lot of fun with this movie. We're gonna be Blue Marvel, even though he's not Blue Beetle. Don't judge. I had a lot of fun with this movie. Yes, it's generic. Yes, it's predictable. Yes, we've seen this movie before. Yes, the villains are not that good. But it doesn't change the fact that the cast is great. The characters are fun. The chemistry that the characters have with each other is great. And the action was cool. The suit was awesome. I just thought that the movie was a whole lot of fun, despite the fact that it is something we've seen before. Despite the fact that I didn't know what was going to happen. But it doesn't change the fact that I love these characters. And I actually didn't know a whole lot about Blue Beetle. Most of my information on Blue Beetle came from Injustice 2. So I didn't know a whole lot about Blue Beetle. I feel like this movie did a great job at teaching me more about this character and making me love the character a lot more. The actor who portrays the character, whose name I'm blanking on, Zolo. I don't remember his last name. The guy from Cobra Kai. He is Blue Beetle. There's nothing else to it. He is Jaime Reyes. That's it. It's so great. His chemistry with, I'm forgetting her name at this point in time, Jenny. I think that their chemistry is great. I think their relationship was a bit rushed, but if this is going to be possibly the only movie with them together, because technically we only know that Zolo is sticking around for the DCU. We don't know if anyone else will be from this movie, so, you know. So their relationship was rushed, but I thought their chemistry was great. And the entire Jaime Reyes family was a blast. So, yeah, I really enjoyed Blue Beetle. And I really hope we get a sequel. I think this is the one that might be the most possible. But this was also the only movie on this list that when I went to see it, opening night in theaters, it was completely empty. I think it was like the second time I've ever been to the theater that was completely empty. Like, we were literally, me and the people I was with were the only people in the theater for this movie, which is sad and crazy. Hopefully more people get to see this movie because I thought it was great. So at number 4, I do have The Flash. Quicksilver isn't even in this game. I can't even be Quicksilver. It could be a speedster. You know what? Daredevil wears red. We'll be Daredevil. The man without fear. I mean, you're not the fastest man alive, but it will work. So, on my list here, I have written down The Flash at number 4. However, I might change that. I might put The Flash under Blue Beetle. I don't know. So, let's just talk about The Flash. This is a movie that my hype for it has been up and down. When they first announced it, so excited for it. I love The Flash, mostly because of his TV show, but I love The Flash. I couldn't wait to finally get a Flash movie, and then delay. With all the delays, my hype eventually died to it. We found out it was going to be Flashpoint. Had very mixed feelings, because on one hand, Flashpoint is a great story, but doing it as your first movie instead of like your third movie seemed kind of iffy. It was going to be multiverse. It's going to be multiverse instead of the classic Flashpoint time travel. Kind of iffy on that. And then obviously the Ezra Miller drama also helped kill my hype for the movie, to the point where my hype was like, I had like no hype for the movie. The marketing did do a very good job at getting my hype higher, but not super high. And then when I finally saw the movie, I enjoyed it. This is a movie that feels very divided. There are people that love the movie and think it's one of the best of the superhero movies this year, and then there are people who hate the movie. They have it on like their bottom 10 worst movies of the entire year. And I disagree with both. I don't think the movie is great, but I don't think the movie is that bad. Yes, the CGI and the VFX of this movie is awful. They can lie all they want and say that it was intentional, but we know the truth. It's just bad. It's just bad. Yeah, there's some stupid, crazy fun stuff in it, like the baby shower scene, which, I mean, oh my gosh, I found it hilarious, even though it was like it's one of the cheesiest things ever, but it made me laugh, I'll admit. But yeah, I thought this movie wasn't too bad. Yeah, I've never been a fan of Ezra Miller as the Flash, to be completely honest. Even since Batman vs. Superman, I never liked him as the Flash. So, but putting all the drama attached to the movie aside, I still enjoyed the movie. The movie made me laugh surprisingly more than I was expecting.
Yelling at me when I walk past him.
The heart in the movie I thought was done really well. No, it never made me outright cry. But it did. I'd be lying if I said I didn't feel anything, especially with the scene with Barry talking to his mom right before he's about to put the can back, which means that she would end up dead. That scene specifically is the one that may have brought a tear to my eye. Just one though, not enough to make me cry like another movie we're going to talk about later. But you know, just enough for me to feel something. So I like that. Also, Michael Keaton as Batman is awesome. He was great. He was fun. Ben Affleck's Batman was awesome. He was great. I wish we had more of him. Man, I really wish we had a Ben Affleck solo Batman movie, but whatever. Sasha Calle as Supergirl was great. I thought she did a great job in the role. Kind of wish we could see her portray Supergirl in another project. By the sounds of it, it's not going to happen, which I mean, okay. But yeah, so it's a movie. But I also don't find myself really thinking about the movie all that much either. But yeah, so it's a movie I enjoy. But I didn't think it was bad like a lot of people. But I also don't think it's as good as some people think. So like right now, I'm honestly tempted to put it below Blue Beetle. But because I don't feel like changing my list already, I'm going to leave it where it is. Because why not? Alright, so kicking off the top 3, I have a kind of controversial one because I see a lot of people have this in the bottom when it comes to this list. And I do understand why, despite the fact that I don't like it. And I'm going to be Spider-Man for this one because why not? That is none other than at number 3, Shazam 2, Fury of the Gods. I'm being Spider-Man because, well, he's also a teenage superhero, despite the fact that Billy is turning 18 in this movie. But yeah, so Shazam 2, Fury of the Gods. I really like this movie. I understand that there's so many problems with the movie. The Shazamly. Yeah, I'm calling them the Shazamly. They are in their superhero forms way too much. Even when they don't need to be in their superhero forms, they're in their superhero adult forms, which I'm just like, that's way too much. I wanted to see more of the kids as the kids. We don't get to see any of that. They had such a great emotional story in this that they didn't explore. I think that the actual idea of Billy about to age out of the foster system and him having to deal with that, and because of that him not wanting the family to fight solo because he wants them to stay together as much as possible, as long as possible. I think that was such a great story that they could have told in a story with Mary wishing that she went to college and she didn't, and wishing that she did. There's such great opportunity in this movie to tell a great story, and it felt more like a dumb fun type of movie, which I still enjoy. I love these characters. I love the first film. It's one of my favorite DCEU films. This movie I feel like this movie didn't have the heart that the first one did. I mean, there's still heart there, but it didn't make me feel too many emotions. Like the first film may or may not have outright made me cry. This film, although I felt something. It's not like they didn't make me feel anything, but there were no tears during this movie like I was kind of expecting. I feel there's just so many better ways they could have done with this movie. But I can't help it. I really love the Shazamly. They're so much fun. Freddy is a standout. He's hilarious. He's fun. The movie still has some great jokes. Yeah, there's some very, very obvious product placement. Although, I will admit the one Skittles one was hilarious. So yeah, it's a movie that I really enjoy. I understand why people don't like it because there's so much wasted potential here. But I still really enjoy the movie. So, yeah, I really wish we could get a Shazam 3. I know a lot of people have been like, well, it's a good thing that they're rebooting Shazam because Shazam's supposed to be a kid. If you think about it, most of the stories that I've ever seen of Shazam are about him as a kid. And although, yes, when they reboot Shazam, when they recast, because let's be honest, they're definitely going to recast, yes, they should go with younger actors, that way they can be young for longer. But I think that there could be such an interesting story in telling a story about an adult Shazam. I think there's something interesting that could be done there. That could have been movie 3, but that's not happening, so, whatever. Alright. Now, we get to the top 2. And I admit, the top 2 was extremely hard to decide which one was 1 and 2. These are very obviously the best of the year, but I could not decide. So part of me was tempted to just cheat and just say them both at the same time, but I'm going to go with what I wrote down.
Apparently there's some kind of exhibition
And despite the fact that I literally go back and forth on this all the time, like every single day these two switch, so these are kind of tied, but because it is a ranking, I am going to tell you a number 2. At this point in time, despite the fact that it will change by the time I'm done recording possibly, I am going number 2, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. This movie is perfection. This is like peak comic book movie. I'm not gonna lie to you, it cracks my top 10 MCU projects. So I love the Guardians of the Galaxy. I love the first film. I love the second film. I love these movies so much. I love these characters so much. And this movie does just such a great job at wrapping up all of their stories in such a satisfying and fun way. There's humor in that makes me laugh out loud. There's emotion in it that just makes you cry your eyes out. Rocket's story is phenomenally told. The villain is probably the best villain when it comes to the Guardians films, and you just hate the guy so much you cannot wait to see the Guardians stop him. The movie is just phenomenal. The cast of characters is obviously great. The story is great. It feels like what the MCU used to be. It's just such a great movie. The soundtrack is incredible. Like, I just love this movie so much, and it's such a satisfying conclusion. So I love it. It's got one of the best moments in a comic book film, in my personal opinion, that being Rocket the whole time, him being like, I'm not a raccoon, I'm not a raccoon. Even early in this movie, him being like, I'm not a raccoon, twice. And then at the end of the movie, when High Evolutionary is calling him by his number, Rocket goes, the name's Rocket. Rocket, raccoon. I said this during my spoiler review, I'm going to say it again here. It made me want to get up and cheer in the theater. I didn't, because no one else did. But you have no idea how much I wanted to do that, because that line so perfect, and it had just great build-up since 2014. It's just perfect. I'm almost talking myself into putting it at number 1. But number 1, it's everyone's number 1 when it comes to the comic book films. It's a canon event. It's a canon event that in every single universe, this is at everyone's number 1 list of 2023 comic book films. And that is none other than, well, you already know what it is, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Now, like I said, I kind of want to put this below Guardians 3, especially after talking about Guardians 3, but because I already have it at number 1 written down here, I'm going to just stick with it, even though it will change by the time I'm done recording. I love this movie. Now, I don't think it is as good as the first film, but it doesn't change the fact that I think the movie's great. The cast and characters is great. Miles Morales, Spider-Gwen, Spider-Punk. Spider-Punk was never my favorite. He's my favorite now. One of my favorites now. Spider-Man 29 was done in a pretty fun way. They told such a crazy story that this doesn't feel like a PG animated Spider-Man comic book movie. It feels like a grand scale part 1 to a Spider-Man epic. And that's just crazy. This is the multiverse done right. I've always wanted, even before the multiverse was a big thing, I've always wanted them to do a movie where they explore the multiverse by actually going through the multiverse. Not just having variants, not just using it as an excuse to bring people back to life. I mean, I want to go into universes that are different from the one we know. I want our characters to go into different dimensions that are completely different than the one that they're used to and that we're used to. This movie does that. We go into Spider-Man India, who is another great character who they made me love. They do a great job. We go to his universe, which name Manbattan. We go to New Wave of York. We go to Earth 42 at the end. I love it. The animation is great. I do, like I said, I have some problems with it. One of my hot takes about this movie is I feel like I know a lot of people are like, whenever like the walls are melting during Spider-Gwen and her dad's emotional scenes, people are like, oh, it's so amazing, it's hard. To me, it was kind of distracting. To me, I don't know, maybe, I don't know. To me, it just was distracting. And also, to me, it's like, this is a lot of Spider-Man who, I feel like a lot of these Spider-Man wouldn't be with Miguel O'Hare. Mainly Peter B. Parker, that's the one that I was like, no, he wouldn't do this. No, he wouldn't be doing this. I don't care what you say. I don't care that you're experienced film writers, and I am not. That Peter B. Parker will not do this. Just trust me. I may not have created the character, but I know. And also, like, other versions of the character, like, I feel like Spectacular Spider-Man wouldn't be doing this either. I mean, technically, maybe it's not Spectacular Spider-Man, he just looks and sounds like him, but he wouldn't be doing this. But at least Insomniac Spider-Man, Toby, Peter, and Andrew aren't. Toby, Tom, and Andrew aren't, so, you know, I guess there's that. But yeah, so I love this movie. I cannot wait for part 2. The cliffhanger is one of those things too where, one, we did get a complete story with Spider-Gwen, we just didn't with Miles. I feel like his character arc and him and his parents are done great. I'm talking way too long, so I gotta wrap it up. You can check out my spoiler review. I talk more about that there. But yeah, I think this is a great film. So yeah, there we have it. I've been talking for a very long time. This is gonna be a very long video. I already know it. It's gonna be a pain in the butt to edit. But yeah, so what are your guys' list? How would you guys rank the 2023 Marvel and DC movies? Is Spider-Verse at your number 1? Let's be honest, it is. But if it's not, is Guardians of the Galaxy at your number 1? Because let's be honest, if it's not Spider-Verse, it's Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, unless you like are crazy and put the Marvels at number 1, no one's gonna do that. Maybe. But yeah, how would you rank these? I feel like it was a hard ranking because, like I said, I feel like 3 to 8 are pretty even. And then I feel like 1 and 2 are pretty even, but it's a ranking, so I had to do something. Yeah, 2024 doesn't look like it's gonna have too much, but we'll see what happens. Yeah, 2023, an okay movie, but okay year for comic book movies. But hey, at least we got 2 peak comic book movies. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you guys in the next video. Please like if you like it. Subscribe if you want more. Bye.